We're talking about our tackling drills. We are going to do what we call a 5-yard angle tackle. That's basically going to be the first tackling drill that we're going to do with our kids as far as them hitting another person. And if you notice, we're only going to get 5 yards away from each other. So we're going to have the tackler, we're going to have the ball carrier, we're going to have a cone and a cone here, and we're going to have the ball carrier run for the outside edge of the cone, and our kid is going to come up and he is going to make an angle tackle. We're not taking the ball carrier to the ground. All we're looking for is where is his head placement. Does he lock his arms up? Does he drive the guy? Does he keep his feet moving? But we are not trying to be physical or trying to destroy the guy carrying the ball, okay? And we also are not taking the guy to the ground. Now, I think as we develop, I think the biggest thing that we have to do for our kids as far as tackling is concerned is we have to be able to shed and tackle, okay? And I think it's difficult. I think it's something that has to be taught. So we're going to have our offensive lineman, we're going to have our running back, we're going to have an offensive lineman, and we're going to have a linebacker at 4.5, and that linebacker is going to have to do everything he possibly can to step up, take on that blocker, shed him, and get to the running back, okay? Now, we also tell our kids lots of times playing linebacker that you don't have to be a hero. More often than not, you get a lot of kids that think they have to get in here and be real physical with that offensive lineman, and they're in their own little war against that offensive lineman. And while they're in that war against that offensive lineman, this running back runs right by him. Nowhere does it say in the game of football that I have to stand here and fight this guy and whip this guy physically. Basically, I think the game of football says it is my job to tackle that guy. However I can get to him to tackle him. And so I think that's a drill that we work an awful lot on. Again, when we're tackling, we do not take that guy to the ground. We're just not going to do that. Okay? Another area that we think that we really have to do is we think that we have to do a tremendous amount of pursuit and redirect. And let me put the emphasis on redirect. When you get done watching your game films, when you've played a game on a Friday night or a Saturday and you're watching your film and you stop your film at the point that the ball carrier is tackled and basically the play is over, we count our people to see who is around the football, okay? Now, if you have kids who cannot run to the ball or simply do not run to the ball, you're going to have, I think, a very difficult time of winning. Defense is getting 11 guys to the ball carrier and getting there in a bad mood. And so we really work extremely hard on pursuit. I think one of the biggest things we've done the last few years is we are big on conditioning. We have always had a philosophy we're never going to lose an opening ball game in 95-degree heat because somebody is in better shape than us. And we condition the heck out of our kids, which is difficult in the time that we're living right now. But we have started to incorporate our pursuit drills into our conditioning, maybe taking a little bit away from our conditioning, but we're getting better benefits out of making it out of the pursuit drill, okay? Our kids want to be on our first or our second team defense because if they do, then they're going to be doing the pursuit drills. If they're not, they're going to be doing a lot of the other conditioning. Here's the area I wanted to emphasize. What you want to look for in practice is you want to, at some time every day when you're having a defensive practice, you want to run reverses and misdirection plays. And when you're talking about your 2 inside linebackers, you want to check and see, one, when they finally read the play is going the other way, did they make an effort to redirect and get back to the play? This is the one thing that we will get on our kids more than anything else, is when play goes one way, they do what they're supposed to do, but the play went away, and for some reason their motor's not running or they didn't have a burning desire to get back to the ball carrier going the other way, then we're going to find somebody else to take their place. Okay? You must have linebackers that one will pursue. When they pursue and the ball ends up going back the other way, they have got to redirect. That's so important. we have some things that we do with our inside linebackers, which I explained to you. We are big on drills, okay? So we're going to look at some drills. These are just drills, but these are drills that we're going to do every day, every single day. And the first drill we're going to do is what we call an inside drill, okay? And what we're going to do, we're going to set up a center. Lots of times we will go all 7 of them, and we'll put our nose guard, our D tackles, and our 2 inside linebackers. That is basically going to be our inside drill. Now, when we start out with this drill, we are simply looking at blocking schemes. Okay? That's all we're going to do. We're going to have blocking schemes. Prime example, trap. Okay? Double the nose, veer release for the backer, pull and trap to tackle. Right there. We're going to have that on a sheet. That is going to be trap. Trap to the left. Okay? And all we're doing is trying to get these 5 players, and of course the kids that we're concerned about, you got your linebacker coach here and you got your D-line coach here. We're worried about these 2 linebackers. And so we're going to teach them, when they see that down block by that guard, and they're going to react up, and they're going to get an inside veer release by that offensive tackle, they cannot get sealed inside. And the only way they're going to learn to play it is to do it over and over and over again. And there's going to be times they're going to make mistakes. But this is an example of our inside drill. Basically, all of the plays that we run will be hitting inside the tight ends. Now, once we do the blocking schemes and they see the blocking schemes, then we're going to add the running backs. Okay? Now, once we add the running backs, then we are going to thud. And thud for us means that we're going to tackle, but we're not going to take to the ground. Okay? That is a very, very important drill for these kids right here, our inside linebackers. And now we have grouped them with the 3 down linemen. We're also big on our perimeter drill. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to line it up the same way. But now what we're going to do is we're going to have our defensive ends in there and our linebackers playing a 30 technique. And now we will do the exact same process. So a prime example, we are going to try to reach the D end. We're going to pull a tackle. We have a cone there and a cone there representing the defensive tackles. A cone there representing the nose guard. They're not involved in it. And this guard will now try to step like he's going to cut that cone. And this linebacker will step up and react to the play. So all plays now when we run the perimeter drill are going to hit head up to outside the defensive end. These are perimeter plays, okay? Then, again, we're going to add the same thing. We're going to add the running backs. So as a prime example, we have a running back here. We have a coach here. It's a quick pitch. Quick pitch to the halfback. Hook block, pull by the tackle. There is no reason, once he takes his first step, to be caught inside this line right here. He's got to be, and he's going to go opposite the defensive end. Inside of him, outside of him. So, again, what it boils down to is we do not have 22 players out there with half of them on a scout team doing something wrong. We are simply watching this right here. That's all our coaching staff has to watch. Then we'll turn around and we'll do it to the other side. We'll do the exact same drill to the other side. Okay? So we have an inside drill and we have a perimeter drill. Then what we do is we are going to go with our half line drill. Okay, now this looks like, to you, it may look like, and we have to put a backside guard in there, it may look like perimeter drill. But now what we've done is we would have the end, the tackle, the linebacker. Okay? We'd have a cone for the nose guard. We may put the backside linebacker in. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to combine these 2 drills. So now these plays could be the quick pitch, which is a perimeter drill. It could be the trap, which would be an inside drill could be an ISO, which would be an inside drill. But we're going to go inside drill first, where our linebackers are paired up with the down 3. Then we're going to go a perimeter drill, where our linebackers are paired up with the D ends. Then we're going to do a half line drill, where these guys are paired up. This would be a nose. Okay? So again, that's how we're going to break it down to try to teach our linebackers to read these different things. Okay, we're going to look at our progression system for teaching our inside linebackers. And I'm a firm believer on having a system. I don't like coaches just go out on a football field and, the drills that we're going to do are going to be in order. There's going to be a progression to them. There's going to be a rhyme and there's going to be a reason. I would also like to say this. We do no drills ever in a football practice that does not pertain exactly to what our kids have to do in the course of a ball game. We don't do drills that we see at colleges or things like that we just pick up. If it's not something that pertains particularly to our defense, we don't use it. So I want to show you now exactly how we look at our progression for teaching our inside linebackers, okay? And so what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to go out and we're going to have, and they're going to pair up. So we'll have one linebacker who will act like he's an offensive guard, okay? We would have bags here, could have cones, could have garbage can lids, but here's our inside linebacker right here. Now, if we have enough kids, we will go over here and we would put another linebacker, and we can teach 2 at the same time, okay? And our kids really need to flip-flop sides because we're going to play one linebacker to the wide side of the field, and we're going to play another linebacker to the short side of the field. Okay, so blocks. We're very concerned with what blocks can you possibly see. Okay, now the first one we think we're going to get is going to be a base block. Okay, now when we're talking about a base block, to us it's kind of like a reach block. This guy's coming to try to seal us inside, take us out of our B gap. Our kids have to understand we want them to meet this offensive blocker up here as close as they possibly can. Lots of times, as an example, you'll get a kid, there's the blocker, here's the linebacker. This guy comes out to block him, to seal him in, and he ends up over here, and the guard doesn't get him sealed in. So he comes to you as a player and says, well, coach, I had my B gap. The guard didn't reach me. He did not seal me in. Well, in actuality, this kid, in order to not to be reached, ended up out here in the C gap. Okay? He gave up his gap. So what we tell our players is, when that guy steps to reach you, you have got to meet him up here as closely as you possibly can to secure your B gap. Okay? Now, another block that he's going to get. Now I'll just show this on one side, but we could be doing it on both sides. Another block we're going to get, and here's the nose guard, is we're going to get a down block by the guard. The minute we get a down block by the guard, we are setting right off of his hip. Okay? So if I'm an inside linebacker and I take my first step and I see that guard going down to double on my nose, I don't really care what's happening in the backfield. I am screaming down there right off of his rear end. There will not be a seam there, okay? Down block should be an easy block for us to play, okay? So we've got a base block, or what you could refer to as a reach block, and we've got a down block. Next thing I'm going to get is a pull. I could get a pull to me. I could get a pull away from me. When this kid takes his step and he gets a pull to him, he knows from the individual drills that he's done, this guard is not pulling here because the ball's hitting in here. He knows even though he's a B-gap player, he's starting to scrape to C. He's maybe starting to scrape to D. He knows he's going to vacate the B. Now, the thing you have to do is once you teach him, when that guard pulls to him, that he has got to abort the B and get to C or D, The next thing is, in practice, you're going to have to add a tight end. Because when that guard pulls, more than likely this tight end is either doubling down or he's doubled down and chipping off. Now, if you don't teach this kid that he's going to have to take on possibly a tight end and rip his inside arm and get off of that also, then you're doing this kid an injustice. Yes, he read that correctly, but you didn't teach him how to get off the block of a tight end that's coming down on him, okay? Pull away, we're securing the backside A gap. And before I go anywhere else, I am securing the backside A gap. There are actually people who are going to false pull me and bring the ball back through there, so I've got to stay in that gap right there. Now, I may use some terminology that is old school, but to us, a fold block. A fold block is guard blocks out and a tackle would pull around. So like when we want to teach this to our kids, we'll go ahead and we'll put an offensive, probably be another linebacker. We'll have a kid line up his tackle. We'll have the guard block out. Again, we're screaming down off of his hip, and the tackle is going to step around. Now, what am I looking for here as a coach? Well, the first thing is he's got to step down. He's got to attack the hip of this guard when he blocks down. But the second thing is when he blocks down and I come down here, I can't let that tackle, or what would be a tackle, seal me in. So now it's reverse thinking. Before, I stepped and I attacked and I had to rip my inside arm not to get sealed in. Now when I come down, I have to rip my outside arm not to get sealed in by this tackle. We call that a fold block. Guard out, tackle around. Okay? Whether you see it or you don't see it, that's something that we think that we have to work on extremely hard. Okay? Now, I think the toughest block that our linebackers have to read is what we refer to as a scoop block. Okay? Now, a scoop block to us is guard trying to overtake the nose because the play is going that way. Now, to the linebacker, is that a down block and a play is coming here? Or is that a scoop block and a play is going there? Well, either way, if we look at our first reaction, I'm starting to come down off of his rear end, and now I have to pick up backfield flow. If backs are going that way, it is a scoop block. I'm still going to secure this before I go there. Okay? So that's a progression that we're going to use where we're going to simply have linebackers assimilating being guards, and then we're going to put our other linebackers in there, and they're going to rotate. The easiest thing to do is to let them go from guard to linebacker to linebacker and make them play both sides as linebackers. Okay? That is our basic progression. We're going to set up the exact same drill, and I've hit on this just a little bit. So here we go. We're going to add tackles. So now here's my linebackers playing their 30 technique. Okay, now we've added other linebackers to be tackles. Okay? Now what I'm going to get is and we'll put cones here to be the defensive tackles and the nose guard. Now what I'm going to get is we're going to work again on blocking schemes. I'm going to get potentially a double on the nose and an inside release by the tackle. Okay? Our linebacker has got to understand he has got to take on this tackle. He cannot get sealed in. He's got to take it on with his inside shoulder, his inside arm, and he's got to keep his gap secured. Okay? So we're working on a double team with a tackle veering inside. Okay, next thing we will work on is we will work on a G scheme. Tackle inside for me, guard pulls. I cannot get caught sitting in here getting blocked by this offensive tackle. I've got to step up and scrape off. So it's just a little bit of a progression thing. Okay? Another thing, I don't know how sophisticated some of the blocking schemes are that some people see, But we will see a guard pull away and a tackle come to scoop us, to cut us off. Again, the kid that sits here and watches in the backfield, and that guard pulls, and he just steps up and doesn't read all of his keys, he will get sealed by that offensive tackle, cutting him off. So our kids have got to understand, I see the pull, I step, I'm coming down here, I cannot get cut off by that offensive tackle. Okay? Now I think a biggie, and it's a play that has really gone by the wayside, is the ISO, and that is we're going to see the guard double down, tackle block out. When that happens, the lights have got to go on in your head that that play is coming right